this video, we'll be covering the scalp. I'll be looking at the layers, the blood supply, and the clinical relevance. I'll also include references and contact details at the end. Scalp has 5 layers. The first layer is skin, which contains numerous hair follicles and sebaceous glands. The second layer is dense connective tissue. This connects the skin to the aponeurosis. It's also richly vascularized and innervated. The aponeurosis is the third layer. It's a thin tendon-like structure that connects the occipitalis and frontalis muscles. Then we have the loose connective tissue. It's a thin connective tissue layer that separates the periosteum and the aponeurosis. Finally, we have the periosteum, which is the outer layer of skull bones. Next is the blood supply. Firstly, we'll be looking at the arterial supply. There are mainly 3 branches from the external carotid artery. The first one is superficial temporal artery. This supplies the frontal and temporal regions of the scalp. The second one is posterior auricular. This supplies the area superiorly and posteriorly to the auricle. Finally, we have the occipital artery, which supplies the back of the scalp. The venous drainage is a bit more different. It has superficial drainage, which is the same as the arterial supply. It also has a deep drainage, which is formed by the pterygoid venous plexus. Another note is that the extracranial veins are connected to intercranial dural venous sinuses by emissary veins. Finally, we'll be looking at the clinical relevance. So the first thing to look at is the danger area of the scalp. This is also known as the loose connective tissue layer. This is because the loose connective tissue layer contains emissary veins. The veins are a potential pathway for the spread of infection from the scalp to the intercranial space. The second clinical relevance we'll be looking at is scalp lacerations. Deep lacerations to the scalp tend to bleed profusely for several reasons. This is because of the pull of occipitofrontalis muscles that prevents the closure of bleeding vessels and surrounding skin. The second reason is the blood vessels to the scalp are adhered to dense connective tissue, therefore preventing vasoconstriction that normally occurs in response to damage. And finally, the third reason is because the blood supply to the scalp is made up of many anastomoses, which contribute to profuse bleeding. Here are the references, and I hope this video has been useful.